Do you know what? I've been doing YouTube for a year. That's the first time I've ever done that. Not link me in live. Anyway, hello and good afternoon, and welcome to this special edition of THFC Till I Die, your home at Tottenham past and present, with the breaking news that's going across the screen. It is breaking news. So before welcome everyone in, I'm going to get this bit of breaking news in. It's actually a three-part breaking news. So this is the first one. Tottenham's next manager is now between Julian Nagelsmann and Xabi Alonso. There are currently only two left in the race. Harry Kane is meeting with Daniel Levy regarding to a new contract, which I'll work it on to in a minute. Next few weeks, he is expected to be offered a huge contract with a massive pay rise. Now, the second bit I'm going to go on to, Kane's new contract will be worth somewhere in the region of £300,000 a week if he stays to Spurs. Now, that is... I don't know if that's a good thing for Spurs or not, but that is the latest. Now, the last bit of breaking news. Well, if you're a protester and you leave out, you're not going to like this news one iota. It is that the latest report is Daniel Levy will not, and I repeat, will not be leaving Tottenham within the next year, despite the protest of the fans. So let's go back to the start of this, right? Next manager is now between Julian Nagelsmann and Xabi Alonso. For me, it's got to be Nagelsmann all the way. I've stated that all along that he will get the Spurs job. I think he still will. I think he's a better choice than Xabi Alonso. That's just my opinion, but I'd love to know your thoughts in the chat as well. So let's welcome a few people in the chat. Let's take that down and welcome a few people in. Big up Carl Simpson. Says twice in one day. I know. I just love YouTube and I love bringing you news. Wayne Bonner, big up Wayne Bonner. Look at him with a nice badge beside his name. If you do, please do get your channel memberships. To do help with the channels. So please do. And they're only $2.99, so they're rarely as cheap as chips. Big up Mia. Hope you're doing well. The jewel in our Spurs community's crown. She says, what's going on? I just broke it there for you. So hopefully put in the chat what you think, Mia. Wayne Bonner, I didn't do it. No, Wayne, you never do anything. You're a good lad. Carl Higgins, afternoon, everyone. Hope we're all having a good day. Yeah, we are. FTS and Colin, big up. So it says Spurs fans been spoiled today. 2 shows in one day. I know. I just love YouTubing. I love bringing the news to the Spurs fan. Zoe DS, big up, Zoe. Haven't seen you in the chat for a long while. Great to see you back here. Hope you're all right. Who else is in there? We've got Peter M. Big up, Peter M. We've got Lisa, big up Dermot and chat, big up Lisa. Hope you're doing well. We've got Carl, Nagelsmann or bust for me. Look, it's Nagelsmann for me all the day long. Within the next year, interesting choice of words. Yeah, it is. I'll have my own thought on that in a minute too. The way we hang outside his door, information that then we hang outside his door, imitation is the key. Look, we all want change for Tottenham in one shape or form. But you got to be smart how you do it. You got to be clever how you do it. You look at Man United. It's taken them nearly 20-odd years to get the Glazers out. And they could be bought out soon. So it's going to be a long road. But look, I know what you're getting at, Brian. I really do. Kev Williams, big up Dermatron, everyone. Big up there, Kev. Who else is in there? Ben Kaufman. Imagine Levy trying to convince Nagelsmann on the loan so that Dyer is a good centre-back. I don't think he is, but look, it is what it is. And Nagelsmann should be a shoo-in. Yeah, I agree with you, Peter. He should be a shoo-in. But let's go through that bit of breaking news again. The next Tottenham manager is now between Julian Nagelsmann and Xabi Alonso. They are currently the only two left in the race. Now, I would have thought by now Daniel Levy would have a good thought on who his next manager is going to be. Now, you look at Xabi Alonso. He was brilliant as a player. He brings that wing ethic as a player, but he hasn't really done much as a manager. Julian Nagelsmann, good with young players, bringing them through. He was done great. Where was he before he went to Bayern Munich in Germany? If somebody can remind me in the chat. He done well there. Look, I just think it's he's the good choice. He's the choice that we need at Spurs. Look, we have to wait and see, but I think Daniel Levy does have to make a decision now. But this decision has to be done right. It has to be done right. It has to be done that he knows he has to get this right. And if he doesn't, well, look, it could be curtains. We could be turned into a mid-table club, and that's the thing that I worry about. Um, it was Hoffenheim. I might have been Carla. I'm not sure. I think it was Hoffenheim. But if somebody can double check that, let me know before he went to Bayern Munich. But at Bayern Munich, he was still good till he got involved in what he got involved with at Bayern Munich. But look, for me, Nagelsmann, I agree with Ben wholeheartedly. Nagelsmann and Rangnick as director of football. I mean, what a combination! I mean, that's who I'd love to see Ben at the club, and I agree with you absolutely, wholeheartedly on that. Carl Simpson, Alonso screams of cheap choice. Daniel, don't even change. Right, look, he would be the cheaper choice, and I think he would be the easy choice in a way too. Um, I think with Nagelsmann, you got to give him what he wants. You would have to back him. You would have to. You would have to give him the money to improve the players. And I think with Alonso, he would just be told, "Well, there's your lot. Get on with it." With Nagelsmann is, well, I'm sorry. It's hang on. Let me just get this right. There we go. Look, with Nagelsmann, it's going to be, I want this and I want that. So you gotta play it along the right lines. And I agree with you. I think Alonso would be a cheap screams cheap choice. Can't absolutely agree with you. Kev Williams, as long as Dyer plays, we will never win anything. We need Nagelsmann, a top and 5 top players in the summer. I agree with you. It proved on Saturday when we played Romero and Longley together without Dyer that we can defend as a unit. Okay, a lot of people in the chat do not agree with me about Longley. I think Longley is a better player than a lot of people give him credit for. We did the player profile on him way back when he joined the club, so please look back for that we did on him. He look for me. I think Dyer is done at the club now. He needs to go. He really, really does needs to go. And Ellie, big up Ellie, came from RB Leipzig. Of course he did. Am I a dumbass? But he managed Hoffenheim before them. Yeah, and you look what he did at RB Leipzig. He done a brilliant job there, Nagelsmann. He got the Bayern Munich job, which is one of the biggest jobs in German football. And for me, I think he's the choice. He's the man. He's the man to take Tottenham forward. He's the man to bring us to the next level. And I think we've got to go for him. Ben saying a couple of quality players to start. Then Nagelsmann will bring in the young players like he did at Leipzig. Exactly, Ben. Absolutely hit ball on the head there. After the Juve guy, we go for Arsbeck. Yeah, exactly. Peter M. Supposed to be Lions. Also, Alonso has only been a manager for a short time. Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the link into the chat. If somebody wants to come on and join me and just, joining me in this bit of breaking news. And also about the breaking news about Mr. Levy. I'd late that he will not be leaving Tottenham within the next year, despite the protests of the fans. Now, what does this say about Daniel Levy? Does this say that he's stubborn, that he will not be moved for no man? Or does it mean that he's got an exit strategy in place that he will be within the next year or so, he will be activating this exit clause? So how do you look into this? Put it in the chat. Let me know. How do you read this? How do you look into this? Do you think it is that he's staying, he's not moving despite the protests? Or do you think, hang on a minute, let's give it a year. I've got to put something up in place before I leave the club? And also, let's talk about Harry Kane's new contract. It will be worth somewhere in the region of £300,000 a week if he stays at Spurs. Is he worth it? Do you want to sign him on a new contract? Let me know in the chat. Is it a 2-year contract? I think, for me personally, I think he'll sign a new 2-year contract. I think 300k a week is a lot of money, but Harry's got to make a decision. Is it money or trophies he wants? If it's money, then, if it's money, then 300k is on the table. Take it. Or If he wants trophies, then will he turn down this new contract worth £300,000 a week and go say to the likes of Manchester United? Who knows? We'll have to see what happens. Not sure how to react to the Levy news, but given within the year, Cavett, he may well go. He may well do. He may well do, Peter Raymond. That's the way I'm looking at it. Terry White, big up Dermot, big up Terry. Hope you're doing well, sir. Hope you're doing well. Joe says he's not leaving until someone comes in to buy us. Yeah, well, exactly. And this is the point I was making this morning. Manchester United are reportedly somebody's put a bid in near enough the round of €6 billion to buy Manchester United. Now, if Man United were $6 billion, now they have the history. So do we. We have a good history as well. And I'm not saying we don't, but the point is, Man United have a bigger name brand out there than we do, and I think that with us, we're not worth the same. We're not worth $6 billion. I think we're around $4.5 billion, if anything. But look, we have to see what happens. This Man United bid could be like a domino effect on other clubs around the Premier League who they buy. So we have to see what happens. DJ Samuel said he's been at the club 22 years, one trophy, doesn't like to spend money on top players, only gives a F about top four. Yeah, look, I agree with you. I'm not saying I'm Levy in, and I wish people would actually get to grips with this. I am not Levy in. I am not Levy out. I am change. I want something to change at Tottenham to make us more successful, to make us more more competitive. But don't forget Levy's going. Don't change how. Exactly, and that's the other point. People seem to forget that Joe Lewis does pull the strings behind the scenes. So I have to wait and see it happened. Let's people get on with it. Not holding my breath. Yeah, exactly, Joe. Exactly. Ben, $6 billion is silly money for a club with rotten infrastructure. Levy will ask for $8. Well, we have to wait and see what happens. We have to see what happens, Ben. Spurs are definitely less valuable than United, but still very valuable. Exactly, Peter. They're still a valuable club, but they haven't got the reach brand of Manchester United has. They have the brand, they have the reach, and we'll just have to see what happens. We really, really do. But anyway, that is. I don't know if Mia wants to jump on with me to discuss this little bit. Breaking news, Mia. Let us know if you do or not, or Ellie, if you're watching, if you want to jump on, jump on. So that's that. That is the Tottenham between Julian. That really is the breaking news. I'd like to go a few more in the chat here. I think Enid can sell, but Levy is saying him. Levy will negotiate him still being involved. Yeah, I think so. I really do. Ellie, make us win trophies. Wake up a glorious club, restore our glory. Look, we do have a glorious past, but we have to do it right this time. And if this is Levy's last chance, then maybe so. Column says, regardless of who he is, 300 grand is a week is, yeah, I agree with you. It is absolutely crazy money for a 30-year-old. And this is what I'm going to say. He's going to have to make a decision. Is he in now for the money, or does he still want to win trophies? If he's in it for the money, then he will sign a new contract at Tottenham and stay at Tottenham to end his career. If he's in it for trophies, then he may well leave Tottenham and go somewhere else. And joining me, jump straight on, a bit like she came in, bit like she's on the Starship Enterprise. It's Spurs between the lines. Mia, the jewel in our Spurs community's crown. Mia, how are you this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah. Bit by bit. So let's see, can we break it down and sort of make some sense of it if we can? Right. So Tottenham and next match, Julian and Xabi Alonso. They are currently the only two left in the race. Harry Kane is meeting Daniel in regards to a new contract, which we will get onto in a minute. in the next few weeks. He is expected to be offered a huge contract with a massive pay rise. And joining us also our usual co-host Ellie. Mia, look, in my opinion, right, it really, in my opinion, that it should be Julian Nagelsmann should get the job. He should be running well ahead of everyone. Somebody put in the chat, if we go for Xabi Alonso, are we going for the cheap option? And that's
it's like a cheap and a silly option because it's a cheap and a silly option because, as I said, he's had such little experience. Why would we risk it? It's a huge risk. And we know that Levy he doesn't like to take risks. So would he take that risk? It's just silly, I think, to take that big risk.
Yeah. Look, Ellie, look, I have my own opinion on this, that I think it's Nagelsmann all the way. I've said it from the very start that Nagelsmann will get the job. I think Nagelsmann will get the job. I think he's the right man for Tottenham. But as I said to Ellie, if Alonso gets the job, is it a cheap option?
That's to me.
No, it's to the man next door.
No, because you said Ellie. You said, as I said to her, yeah, basically, I agree, right? It wouldn't be such a silly appointment. I don't think it'd be a stupid appointment. I think it'll be a cheaper option, obviously. But the thing is, there's lots of managers that have done well who have had no experience. But there's many more that have done bad. So he is taking a risk, right? With Nagelsmann, he's got quite a substantial amount of more experience. And also, I don't know, there's something about him that I like. I've seen interviews with him. He's very commanding. He commands respect. I think he is the better option, even if it costs us more. Yeah.
I mean, Mia, look, we've been, this is day 40, I think, of us searching for a new manager. Why is it taking so long to identify to get down now to the last two or the last one? Surely to God, hang on, I haven't finished the question. Surely to God.
Go on.
No, go on, Mia. Go on, Answer. It's fine.
Oh, you just don't need to extra explain it. I understand what you're going to say. Obviously, why would it take so long? But when you look at Chelsea, they apparently they're going to announce Poch maybe end of this week, I think, or next week. It's taken them a really long time as well. Like, I think it does just take time because you want to get it right. And if we want it to get right, surely we want them to take that little bit more of a clever stance instead of just going with anybody. Do you agree, Ellie, or do you think it has been too long?
And also, I'd like to add to that, a lot of the managers come in with stipulations. They want to be secure in the requests that they make at the club and the things they're asking for before they put their signature on the dotted line, whether they're going to be met. Before, it's that setting out your stall. Right, because they know Tottenham have a history of letting their managers down. So Nagelsmann's a very clever man. He's not going to come in, right, saying, you're going to let me down. I want all these things put in place before I put my name to paper. So that's why maybe it's been stalled,
And don't forget that we actually had Nagelsmann was going to Chelsea at one point, and then he decided he didn't want Chelsea quite late on. So, that's another reason as well, because we didn't have Nagelsmann in the picture for part of it because he was talking to Chelsea and it looked like it was all going ahead with him to go to Chelsea.
And they didn't meet his demands, did they?
No, obviously. It's not that. He looked at Chelsea and thought, I'm not getting involved in this circus. That's what he looked at it, to be fair.
He's going for the smaller circus rather than the big circus.
No, we're not a circus, Ellie. We're not
a circus. We were a little bit.
We're not.
We were a little bit. We have been quite shambolic in the things that we've done. And we've had our manager call us out.
We're not a circus, though. I mean, the way Conte called us out was at the players. That's what he's made.
As well.
Hang on, let me finish, Ellie. He called out the players, and he called out the players for their attitude, for for their the way to go about of winning and losing games. Yeah, he probably did call out the board as well, but he said it was mostly at the players. We're not a circus, Ellie. We've been badly run. That's what we are. And
Yeah.
everyone's entitled to their opinion. I totally disagree with that comment of us being a circus. I really do. And I
What I
really.
meant by that
But hang on,
is,
yeah, go on, Eddie, go on.
no, it's just, I just want to put my point across. What I meant by that, he specifically said, then there's the owner, and they haven't won anything.
Yeah.
He goes, you know, he's actually saying the owners are blocking everybody from winning because they blame the managers.
Yeah, well,
as well.
Yeah, well, look.
I think actually what his point was, Ellie, was
for our club.
actually that's not what actually he said. What he said was that the club gets all the blame, the managers get the blame, but the players never get as much blame. That's what actually he said.
Yeah, that's the point. I think that was put across, and I think it was taken out of context by what he said. But look, everyone's starting to their opinion. I just don't agree. We're a circus, and that's just my opinion. I think we're badly run. I think we don't back managers, which is true. And I think it's about time we oh hello, Ellie's gone. Oh well. Oh dear.
Maybe it was an internet problem.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Where was I, Mia? Because where was I with the manager? Sorry, I'm totally lost now when Ellie called us a circus. I don't think we are a circus, Mia. I totally, that's one thing I don't think we are.
I do get your point, and I think that when you look at a club like Chelsea and the way that the owners are behaving, that's really bad. Going in at half time, getting involved a bit too much, speaking to fans, and saying that, right? Chelsea players didn't even know that their manager got sacked until they saw it on social media. That's a circus. That's really badly run. Like, that is awful. I know we're not run great, but the way that they did it was really they're not acting very professionally at the moment at Chelsea. So they're a big they are really bad at the moment.
Look, as I said before, and I'll say it again, I'm not Levy in, I'm not Levy out, I'm Levy sort of down. I want Tottenham to change, and I want them to change for the better. But I think you have to be, how can I put it? You have to be a little bit I think when it comes to the owners, there's a double sword here that you have. There's a double sword you have to be careful with. I mean, it's okay blaming Levy for everything. He's the face of what is happening at Tottenham. We also got to say Joe Lewis is also a problem as well. When Harry Redknapp is coming out, guys, and saying that all he's interested in is making money. Now, how do we know what happens in the meetings? If Daniel goes in there and says, look, I want a certain amount of money for this player, Joe Lewis says, no, you're not getting it. Well, why am I not getting it? We'll sack the manager. I think there's more strings being pulled behind the scenes than we realize. And I think we'll never know the full story or the full effect of what's happening at Tottenham. The only time I think we will know is the day Tottenham are sold to new owners. Now, the protests with this bit of news as well about Levy not leaving within the latest reports, Daniel Levy will not be leaving Tottenham within the next year, despite the protests of fans. Ellie, I'll start with you. You've been at the protests, you've seen them. Look, I think this is clearly saying that within the next year something may happen. He may have a strategy in place to leave the club. Do you think that Levy is taking some on net? I'm playing devil's advocate here, so don't shoot me down, everyone. Call me a Levy lover when I'm not. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here with questions that I've written down, which I think I'm trying to get probably a balanced argument here out of Mia and Ellie. Do you think Daniel Levy in the fullness of times will be looked back a bit fonder than he is now at the moment at Tottenham for what he's done for Spurs?
It depends how you look at it. If you look at the business side, you can't fault the man because he's done so much for us. He's made us sustainable. He's built a beautiful stadium, lovely training ground. He's tried to strengthen the team. It hasn't worked out in every aspect, but he's done some good signings as well. And he's appointed world-class managers to get us up there, but it just didn't quite work. So he's got a plan A there, and now he's got to go to a plan B. In terms of the football side, he has meddled a bit. He should step out because he's not a true football man. Leave it to the football men, and then everybody will leave you alone, I think. Well, most people will leave him alone because if he just takes a step back, leaves the football to football people, and let them get on with it. And if they fail, it's on them, not on him.
Yeah, I look. He has done good things. And look, Mia, he has made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And do you think he's learned from his mistakes, Mia, or do you think he's still tripping over the same mistakes time and time again?
I think, do you know what, with him, I think it is like I'm somebody who picks up a lot on like body language, and I try and like read people a little bit. And do you know what I get from him? That he's quite tunnel visioned, and he gets so concentrated on something that he doesn't see what's around him a lot. Like he doesn't realize that he's making those other mistakes. Now, me, I speculated and said, look, I don't want to cast any aspersions at all, but his body language is very awkward, and he does remind me of somebody who could possibly have some sort of like an Asperger's or some sort of social kind of like person who's not very good socially, who has a social issue because of the way he comes across. I can't explain it, but I can tell that he's got that he's very socially awkward. And I think sometimes with people like that, they do get very tunnel visioned. And I do think that he is a very tunnel vision person. And I think he doesn't see the trees for the woods, if that makes sense. Like he doesn't always see what he's doing. And I think he gets he's a bit of a hard-headed person where maybe he doesn't want to see that thing either, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to be fair. That like you always know, I'm a very fair person and balanced when it comes. I've got no agenda against anybody. So I try and be like do it in a fair way when I look at things with Levy.
Can I ask Mia a quick question?
Yeah, then Ellie, go ahead. Go.
I just want to ask her while it's fresh in my mind. Do you think Daniel Levy, he sees his mistakes, but he's so stubborn, he might have a bit of stubbornness there as well, that he doesn't want to correct it?
I think it's probably not stubborn. I think it's more pig-headed because he doesn't want to appear that he's sometimes wrong. And I think again, maybe as well, because that means you've got to admit socially and have a confrontation with somebody about you being wrong. And I think he doesn't like that confrontation because he's very socially awkward. Like I find his body language and the way that he is very awkward. I can't explain it, but I just see him.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
he's a very socially awkward person, and I think that he doesn't like that confrontation of being wrong. Maybe it's just a bit of a pig-headed, like not trying to insult him as in calling him that. I'm just using it as like a saying because people say people are pig-headed. I think it's more that, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I forgot what I was going to say because I really had it in my head to say something that was sort of the bang on. On from Mia's point, it probably will come back to me. But look, Ellie, look, it comes to a time now where, look, we can all blame Levy for the football side of it, for the mistakes that made, for not backing managers, for not backing Jose, not backing Poch. 4 managers since Poch left, we haven't really been that successful. 1 trophy since 2008. But if you look at other clubs in London, you look at Chelsea. You look at them, and they're more of a circus than us. One win in the last couple of months Frank Lampard's only won one game, which is at the weekend since he took over. Do you think that because it's Daniel Levy and because it's Enoch that their reputation precedes themselves? But when you look down at Chelsea, shouldn't people be ridiculing them
Oh
and
yeah,
saying, "Hang on a minute, they're more of a circus than we are"? Okay, we sacked Conte. He had his outbursts. We had to go because he broke his own contract basically when he had his outbursts. But I agree
yeah.
with Mia that when he was saying about the board, I think he was trying to point out the players never get the blame. Do you think it's about time we start blaming the players now for what's happened over the last 4 years?
Of course, they have to shoulder some of the blame. Of course, they do, because it's their job to go out on the pitch and win matches, and they have to follow instructions that the managers give them. Of course, you have to apportion blame, but then you've got to. You can't apportion blame in one area. There's lots of different reasons why clubs don't succeed and why other clubs do, right?
Mhm.
And Chelsea are notorious for sacking their managers, yet they got success. And the reason why they've done that, they put their money where their mouth is, and they've built a team that challenges and wins things. Right? We have never done that. We've done little bits here and there, and then we stop. Then we do another little bit, then we stop. We never address all of the issues and all the positions that we need to make us stronger. So he can be blamed for that because it's his job to make sure that we stay competitive.
Yeah, but isn't it the job of the director of football to do that?
Yes, and he employs him.
Yeah, but that's
So
not
if he's
the
not
point.
doing his job, sack him.
Yeah, but the point is, yeah, that's true as well. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you
But-
can't just sack people. That's not how contracts work. You can't do it just because you feel like they're not. Like, you've got to be quite careful. That's why we had to be careful this time. Parateach, we couldn't just sack him straight away. We couldn't do that because his contract, you could get sued for unfair dismissal. So you do
agree.
have to think
Yeah,
that you
I
have to
agree.
be
You've
a
got to
little
sack
bit
him at the right
careful.
time. Yeah, of course. You don't just sack him out of the blue. You sack him when the time you can sack
Yeah.
him. You've got the,
Yeah, no, of course.
but why didn't we not get rid of Steve Hitchen then?
He was like a Daniel Levy sidekick, wasn't he? He was like a yes man to Daniel Levy. Anything he said, he did. So I think there was a pally bit there, and he got on well with Poch as well. Because even I've heard that Poch wants to take Steve Hitchen to Chelsea with him.
But does that not just show that actually we did all right with that though? Poch was pally with Levy, and so apparently was Hitchin, and Poch did the best we've done in a while. So that's conjecture that makes a difference because we don't know the actual facts, and actually Poch did well. So the parts that Poch did well, then that just proves that doesn't actually make a difference.
Yeah, because he was a very likable man inside the club. Yeah. Everybody loved him.
Look for me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Look, for me, I think it's going to be a very interesting year. Mia, the last bit on this Levy thing before we move on to try to break down the news on Harry Kane and this new contract he might be offered. What do you see happening within the next year with Levy?
I don't see anything because, as I said, even if Levy goes or steps back or whatever, if he steps back and doesn't sell, he still has the money in the club. If he just sells his part, then the person who gives the money is Lewis, and he still will be in charge, and he will still stop things being done because it's his money. So it makes no difference. The club has to be sold on a bigger scale, have all of it sold or majority, and only have a small maybe share, because that's what the Glazers might end up having is a share still in Man U. So obviously the whole club has to be sold, because otherwise it's never going to change. Nothing's really going to change with who is actually in charge of the money, which is Joe Lewis.
And Ellie, last thing on you, can you see Levy leaving within the next year?
You see what it is, Dermot? They're sitting on a gold pot, aren't they? They've got the go-karts coming. They've got Beyonce coming. They've got so many other events organised. They've got the the treaty with the local council that they're going to redevelop the area, build a cinema, build hotels. It's going to be very hard for them to say, oh, well, I'll sell it, because where there's money, there's greed, right? That's in all walks of business, not just football, you see. So it's going to be very hard for us to shift him, because he's not going to go away lightly. He wants a big, massive payoff to get him out.
Yeah, I just want to state one thing. When you brought out about the cinema and that was signed within the contract to build a new stadium. All this myth about, Levy's building a new cinema and it's going to build new houses. It was all within the contract from building within the. I just want to make that clear.
Joe, can I make something else clear? That there's no money on our finances that come out from our finances that go towards that. That was already put in, probably with the money, the debt that we've already got, or whatever. It was probably built into that.
That is right. That is right. Yeah.
So,
but it's just. Yeah.
I just wanted to quickly, Ellie. So I didn't mean to. I will let you finish, and I'll let you come back to you.
You're all right. You're all right, mate. Don't worry.
It was within the contract for building a new stadium for the redevelopment of Tottenham, for the houses, for the cinema, for this and that. And also, I have no problem with Beyonce coming to Tottenham, with concerts being at Spurs. I have no problem with the go-kart. I have no problem with boxing coming there. I have no problem with the NFL going there. If the stadium's going to be used, use the stadium. It's going to lay empty for every other Saturday of the year. And then for the whole summer, it's not going to be used. But as long as the money's put into the football side of the club, that's what I want. And that's, look, I can blame Levy for a lot what he's done, but I also can thank him for what he's done also, for making us sustainable, for making us probably with a fantastic new stadium. Now, that's probably going to get me a lot of grief, and I really don't care. It's my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion like Ellie's entitled to hers, and me is entitled to her opinion. Where I draw the line is I think he has failed us on the footballing side, which he has done. So he needs to address this. Now, if he is going to leave within the next year, I think he will. I think this is an exit plan for him to leave Tottenham within the next year. Joe Lewis is not getting any. Joe Lewis is somewhere in the Bahamas. Probably doesn't even know which day of the week it is, with some 22-year-old model next to him, probably mopping his old bald head, right? He probably doesn't know what day of the week it is. He probably
Joe, what? I don't think that's true. I think that Joe Lewis is a lot smarter than what people give him credit for. He did say he's a dibbling old man who doesn't have a clue what's going on. I don't think that at all. I think he's very smart because he deals with the money aspect, and he wouldn't be able to deal with that if he wasn't all up there.
Yeah. Me, I was only joking. I was only actually
joking. I'm just saying, but a lot of people say that.
Got a lot of people advise. All these rich billionaires have got people advising them. They've got people that know their stuff, that they employ to do all the business side of things as well.
Yeah,
because even if they're not business astute themselves, they've got other people working for them to make them their billions. Is Dermot frozen?
Oh, I don't know. I think he might
frozen. Anyway,
I do understand that, Ellie. But what I'm trying to say is that don't think that for 1 minute that he's just this little old man who doesn't have a clue what's going on. Because I'm sure that he has very much a clue with what's going on. Like, I don't think that's a thing. I think he honestly does have a clue.
Yeah, maybe Lewis has frozen Dermot.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about otherwise we get taken down. But to be fair, I think we're being very fair about things. I don't think we're being unfair in what we're saying.
No, because at the end of the day, right, he's got his billions of pounds by being clever and employing the right people to make him the billions, and also negotiating. He's a good negotiator, obviously, because he's got that Tavistock group that are worldwide. They're massive, Tavistock. So you don't get that if you're a dithering idiot. But I get Dermot. He was just joking.
Yeah, no, I know. I think I
love Dermot's Irish wit.
Look,
I do. I think that Carl Simpson's spot on here. Joe Lewis is onto a winner. He can do whatever he wants, as he knows everyone will blame Levy without consequence to himself. Absolutely.
exactly.
Spot on.
This
Spot
is the
on.
point I'm making. We're all quite happy to shout Levy out, have posters up Levy out, and call them everything under the name, which I don't agree with. I don't mind people protesting. That's everyone's right to protest. Where I do draw on the line is when they start calling them names, start calling his
Yeah.
family's names, start going towards of being vile towards him, and I will use that word when it comes to him personally. No problem saying, like, when you chant in the stadium, we want Levy out. That's fair enough. That's voicing their opinion. But when it gets to the point of attacking him personally, attacking his family, and doing it that way, I draw the line at that, and I think that's wrong.
Yep.
Everyone has a right to protest. Everyone
Of
has a right to
course.
their opinion. Everyone has a right to voice their opinion, but you have to do it respectfully. You have to do it nicely. You have to do it in a way that it comes across as respectful. And once you start doing that, you will get more people coming onto the protest. You get more people coming to them every week, and it will grow and grow and grow. And maybe there's change for Tottenham. Of course, there's a Levy and Enoch out protest. Then you've got the change for Tottenham. Look, I just want what's best for Tottenham Hotspur, for my team. All I want is what's best. I want a manager to be backed. I want a manager that's going to be let to do the football inside. And if it does start going wrong, stick with him. You look at Arteta, they're stuck with him. Look where Arteta's got Arsenal now. You look at Klopp. Klopp was allowed to do what he wanted to do at Liverpool. What did he do? He turned Liverpool into a really successful side. You look at managers down the years. Look at Alex Ferguson. He was one game away from being sacked as Manchester United manager. What happened? They stuck with him. What happened? Man United went on to be the most successful Premier League club in history. Apart from them, 13. He won 13 Premier League titles in the Premier League era.
Can I I want to just back up what you said, right? I'm absolutely on board with everybody having an opinion about what they want for the club. But some of the abuse, it just goes way, way too far. You don't know him, it's conjecture. So someone says that I get it, it's a result of the disdain for fans. Again, that's conjecture. You don't know him as a person. Like, these are unnecessary, and also it takes away from your point, because everyone's going to concentrate on the fact that you were being vile and not your actual point. So it just does a disservice to what you're trying to protest against. So please, everybody, bear in mind that is somebody's son, that is somebody's husband, and that is somebody's dad. So just remember those things. I know it's difficult for some people to feel like Daniel Levy is a person, but he actually is a person. So please remember that. And he's got family who love him, a mum who loves him. As a mum myself, you're a mum, Ellie, you wouldn't want anything like that being said about your child. It doesn't matter what they do, they're your baby, you know? That's how we've got to kind of, that's how I view it anyway. And that's why I keep it respectful when I try and talk about things.
Well, let's move on now we'll leave Daniel Levy in his little crib with his little dummy in his little bottle, and we'll let him sleep to some lovely lullaby music. And we'll move on now to Mr. Harry Kane. Right. Now, Harry Kane's out playing with his toys in the middle of the sitting room. No, he's not really. Right. Now, we all love Harry Kane, club record goal scorer for us. It's got us out of more holes than Skippy ever got anyone out of Wales and Australia, or that dolphin. What was the name of that dolphin that program as a kid we watched? There was Skippy, Lassie,
Skippy's the kangaroo.
Yeah, Lassie's the dog.
Lassie's the dog, yeah.
Who was the dolphin?
I don't remember no dolphin. I remember Lassie.
Flipper.
That's it. Flipper. Yes.
Right. So Harry Kane's a bit like them three, right? You're in trouble. They come to you. Poor old Johnny's falling down the well again, and let's get him out. I just got a few comments here. I think this is towards us, but what we said about I'll bring it up because everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
Kuva, 99, big up, Cooper. Thank you for joining us.
All right,
He says,
Coops.
I refuse to be respectful to a chairman who doesn't respect the football and the fans. It was their choice to buy the club. They needed to accept what they were taking on board. I have no sympathy. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. All I'm saying is, even if we don't respect the people, the chairman, whatever, as fans, we should be respectful ourselves. Look, I understand what you're getting at. I really, really do. And I understand what you're trying to say. But I think if you look at the United fans, right, it's taken them over 20 odd years of trying to get the Glazers out. They did a protest. Over 100,000 people. No, well, I think, what was it? I may be wrong. I think 20 or 30,000 turned up for the protest the day they got the Liverpool game abandoned. Now, I don't agree with the game being abandoned, but I understand why, because there was a minority that did that. But look, that's beside the point. The point I'm making is 20,000 turned up to a protest.
Yeah.
This has to be done properly. This has to be done. All these different protests have now got to come together and work out one message. Look, for me personally, I'm not going to dare and call. Maybe I have in the past, and I've regretted calling what I've said about Levy in the past, and I do regret what I said, and I shouldn't have said it. I am. I just think that it's got to be respect. It's got to be respectful, these protests. I understand what you're saying, Cooper. I get what you're saying, but I just think some of these have to be respectful. That's my opinion.
I think Cooper's got a point about he's not transparent with the fans. He hasn't got a connection with us. So if he could build on that, people maybe will see him in a different light. You've got to have a connection with the fans, like Bill Nicholson had.
But do you know what, Ellie? What I will say is that I've just, like, what I explained to you is the way I feel is that he is very socially awkward, and to come into a lot of fans who really hate you, you really think that anything he really says is going to make any real difference. Like, I just don't think it will. And what my point was being respectful is don't respect what they've done, but when you go into any job, you do not expect to get verbal abuse and to be called names and to be having some of these vile comments said to you. Because if you said that to anyone at a job, you'd be gone. Like, it's just, and it takes away from your point. It just takes away from your point that you're trying to prove, because you're trying to prove they're bad owners. You don't need to insult them on the, like, while you're doing that, you know?
Yeah. One thing I must say, though, I've been on the protests 3 or 4 times now, and they are very respectful. They just chant Levy out and purple and gold and silver gold until we're sold. They don't. No, I'm not saying that you do. I'm just picking them up because they are really true Tottenham fans who love the club.
Can I just say one thing? I never said once that the protesters were disrespectful. Can I just make that clear? I actually never did say that.
Of course you didn't, Dermot. No one said that.
Nobody did.
Nobody said that.
Somebody might take it up the wrong way. You know what some people.
Well, we didn't anyway. We were just saying in general. We're saying in general when it comes to. Yeah, we're just talking absolutely in generals. There's no one specific we're talking about at all, and it's not the protest. We're not trying to specifically say the protests are being like that at all.
No, I'm just saying, you know what I mean, Mia, when some people can twist your words.
No,
I understand.
We'll back you up on that, Dermot. Don't worry.
The disabled team said it takes a bigger man to admit when they're wrong, Dermot. Full respect to you. Yeah, look, I called them a parasite. I called them this and that last season or the season before, and I was wrong. And I'll admit I was wrong. You know, we may not like the man, what he's doing at our club. We may want him out. We may want to change. But I'll admit I was wrong to say what I said. And I fully regret what I said. And I will always will. I try to be respectful to other people to show me respect. And that's not just me. And I think anger can, and Tom Martin makes a very good point here. We are human. Frustration leads to anger, leads to disrespect. It don't feel like Levy cares about that. Are there money? Well, look, we have to see what happens on that. We've got a few new people to welcome in, guys, before we start going on to the Harry Kane contract and where he think will he sign, won't he sign, will he go, will he not? Ellie signed thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose my wee Harry. Mia signed down below thinking, is my Romero going to follow Harry out the club? I don't know. So we've got a lot.
He better not, or Mia will have to chase him down the road back into the club.
And we've got V Howard
Like
M.
he would.
Big up. I haven't seen you in the chat before. Sir, thank you for joining in. And please, sir or madam, please hit that like button, the subscription button. Please come in again because we love seeing new people come in. Please, come back. And if you're there, everyone, there's at least 30 people watching at the moment. The chat is heavy. If you want to get your point to the top of the queue, please make it a super chat. It does help.
Yeah.
I know it's a big bad word out there. A lot of people can't afford super chats. I understand that. So we will be we try to bring up your comments every show. We really do.
Yeah.
And can you still hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Piss off, Mia.
I won't second that, Dermot. You know
I was joking when I said that, Mia, by the way.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We want Dermot out. We want Dermot out.
Fine.
Sweet.
Oh, yes,
Ladies
sweet. Come on.
takeover.
Lady takeover.
Anyway,
Oh, he's back. Oh, what a shame.
Darn it.
Sorry. That's what I think. Right. I'm only joking. Right. V Howard M. It says, wonder if the club, I'll put this to you, Mia, first, actually. Wonder if the club is for sale behind the scenes and the chairman is stepping down would devalue the asset by making management seem weak. It makes that's a very good point, actually, there, Mia.
Yeah.
Actually, point. Do you think it could be up for sale?
I don't think so personally, really. I don't, but that could be a point. That is a very valid point, though.
Yeah. Ellie, what do you say to V Howard? Do you think he's got a point here?
Yeah, he's got a point. But it depends on how people who are in business view it. We can view it that it might do, but in their eyes, they're thinking, well, I'm going to be the new chairman and it's my ideas that are coming into the club. So I don't see that as a devaluation. I'm going to make this club big and better. You see what I mean? And make them get to that point where they're even worth more money because we've been so successful on the field and all the outside things that the club have put in place to make more money for the club. They're going to see that as a massive asset. So I don't think they're going to pin their future on just one man leaving.
Yeah, that's very good point. Thank you for the comment, V Howard. And please,
brilliant comment.
Brilliant comment. Get in again. Tom saying, can we not focus on this insult stuff? This is a minority. Why focus on that when the majority are different? Right? Look, I was just Tom. I'm going to say this now. I was just trying to make a protest of what I said. Okay, I never once again called the protesters that they said they're insulting people. Never once said that. So you were saying, can we not focus? Why do you want to focus on the insult stuff? We all know it's a minority. Every protest has a minority of idiots. We all know that. But the majority are respectful. The majority do it the right way. I never once said that the majority are insulting anyone. It is protest. It is everyone's right to protest. It is part of a democracy. Democracy leads to protest. You right to protest. We had water charges here years ago. Every man and their dog came out protesting. Yeah. Because it was their right to protest. You look at the French. They protest on somebody selling the wine at the wrong price. They come out protesting about that. Yeah. So everyone has a right to protest. It is democracy. I do agree with you, Tom. But as I said before, I was only trying to make a point by what I said over a year ago. And I was wrong to say that because that was me insulting a human being. He is a human being at the end of the day. We all love our club. We all want Tottenham Hotspur to succeed. We all want our club to come back to be competitively challenging for trophies, league titles. But we have to keep doing it the right way. We've all got to come together. We've all got to get behind one banner. That's the point I was making. So big up for the comment, though. We've got Len Simpson. Never seen her before. Big up, Lynn. Thank you so much for joining us, Lynn. and with Mr. Levy has used the football fans, which and with Mr. Levy has used the football fans, which was his only income. Now he doesn't need football to give him a living. This has become his downfall. Exactly. Absolutely, exactly. That's a good point. Who wants to take Lynn's point here, me or Ellie first?
Yeah, I'll take it. I agree with you, right? Because at the end of the day, he's made so much money that he can take a step back and it won't affect him. He'll just be a rich man on the beach, on the golf course, and he won't have a worry in life. And he's made his family secure. He's made his grandchildren secure. So in his eyes, he would have done a perfect job for his family. But with the Spurs fans, he's left us a bit, what could have been if he just pushed us a bit more.
And Mia, she also says Mr. Levy has lost respect for the fans purely because he was disregarded their points of view. And without the football fans, Mr. Levy would not have a stadium and money he has today. She makes a very good point here, Mia. Absolutely. I can't disagree with that point.
Yeah.
Well, I can disagree because we was in financial problems before they took over. So actually they've come out and improved our finances. So I would say that yes, they need the fans, absolutely 100%. But don't think for 1 minute what they did financially for us was a small feat when you look at other clubs and how they had to have a big injection of money to ensure their club was okay. Like a Chelsea, they were sold for like £1. But obviously they got that big lot of money to help them out. So don't think what they did financially was an easy thing to do, because actually financially they did really well with what happened.
Yeah, but she's not actually saying that, Mia. She's actually saying Mr. Levy has lost respect from the fans purely because he has disregarded their points of view. So
yeah, no,
he's not.
She's saying without the. Yeah, but she's saying that without us, they wouldn't have the stadium. But I'm trying to say that actually, financially wise, they did a big thing for us by obviously building up the club the way they did. And I understand what people say about him with your views, but he can't take on board 60,000 people's point of view. Like, you have to be realistic. What owner does? It has to be a balance, because look at Chelsea. Their owner goes online and speaks to people in Spaces. That's not very professional. You have to have a balance. And yes, they haven't got that balance right, but I do think that maybe with the owners, they haven't always been transparent. Absolutely. But on the other hand, do you really want a Todd Bowley?
Yeah, I think it's the ignoring part that a lot of people gets up their nose. Because
he's ignoring what you can't.
Because like the change for Tottenham have written an email, and there's lots of people that put them down for that.
So has
you won't get a response.
So has the Tottenham Football Supporters Trust also.
Yeah, they have, right, and they got a muted response. Really, it was quite a weak response. But even Change for Tottenham, they've done a massive email. I actually commented on that on Twitter. I said you should have bullet pointed it. They've made it really long-winded. It's so long-winded, it goes on forever and ever. They're never going to read it. They'll just probably put it to the commercial director, have a read of that, and then it will get ignored. You've got to bullet point things really professionally. They should have got somebody professional to write it for them.
And how many thousands of emails do you think they receive a day? Like, what you've got to be realistic. It's really like in a big, massive corporation like Spurs, it is very difficult to try and get your point across. And that's why I understand why people protest. And I completely am on board with that. But what I'm trying to say to you is that everybody's so individually. What you want, what I want, what Dermot want is different. So can you imagine if he tried to listen to every single person individually? As a collective, we want a certain change. Absolutely. But he can't listen to everybody in every individual way, so we have to sort of come together as a collective to try and get some sort of change. That's what Dermot was saying about the collective.
Yeah, I think the collective.
Right.
I think most fans want us to be successful on the pitch, I would say. you know, they want us to be a successful football club, right? But also you have to look at the finance bit, which they have got right. So you've got to praise them for that.
I just want to just quote this Kuva. I didn't call you disrespectful. If that's what you're trying to say, I never called you disrespectful. I wasn't calling anybody in the Levy out or in the account protest disrespectful. Okay, I understand you're not happy with the honest. That's your right to voice your opinion. That's your right to protest. That's your right to get across. But I never called you or anybody else disrespectful. Yeah, I understand you're respectively furious at what our owners have done to this club. Yeah, I'm not happy either. Nobody's happy. Nobody else is happy. We'll all want Tottenham to succeed at the end of the day. The point I was making is we should all get behind one banner. But the point is, I think it has to be done in a respectful way. I think if you do that, you will get more numbers on charge. And I wasn't calling you, even like I said to Tom. Tom said to me, he was meaning in general. That was not me. I understand what you're saying, Tom, and you are right. So again, I understand what you're saying, Kuva, but I do think that it's got to come to a point where we all get behind something. And
I think Kuva's not saying that you're being disrespectful.
No,
to
I
him.
know. I'm just making a point. I'm trying to make another point that I'm not calling the Levy account disrespectful or the change for Tottenham disrespectful. I think we all got to get behind something. But I understand what he's saying. I fully understand. You know, we've won twice as many trophies in the 90s a decade. We only won 2 trophies in the 90s. Won 1 trophy in the 2010 in the noughties. We won more in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, 3 decades put together than we've won in the 90s and 2000s. So we just have to we have to get behind something. And I think this is for you, Mia. Apparently, sustainably is the boss word. It used to be glory. What do you say to Kuva on this point?
I'd say that we had an opportunity to get glory when we were in finals and we missed penalties and stuff. So it's not like we haven't had that opportunity. We just haven't got over the line. Like, that's obviously something that we have to consider, that there's lots of different factors when it comes to winning a trophy. It isn't like with the cups, it's a bit of luck who you get. If you get penalties, to win the penalties. We got out on against Chelsea on penalties. In one of the cups in the quarterfinals. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes it is a little bit of a luck thing too, and we haven't had the rub of the green. Look at the final with Liverpool in the Champions League. 30 seconds in, they got a penalty that wasn't a penalty. That's the rub of the green, isn't it, that they got, and that we didn't. And that just happens in football sometimes. So I think them nuances are missed sometimes, where we got also, very, very close.
And also, you're fighting against the bigger monster now, right? So to compete, you have to become a monster. You have to basically become a monster and compete with the other monsters, because those monsters are Man City, Chelsea, and Man United. They've gone to sleep a little bit, Man United, but they started to come back now, right? So, you know, you have to compete with them in terms of the transfer market. But we have to seize the power, like Bill Nicholson did. He seized the power. You know that for sure, Dermot, because you're invested in that time of our glorious years, and that he brought the glory because he did all the scouting himself. He did all the
I'd have to stop.
He did delegate some of the scouting, but he had the final say.
I have to stop you there. I think the foundations for our successful 60s side was actually laid down by Arthur Rowe in the 50s. That's when the foundations were. Hang on, just cause I know what you're saying. Yeah, they were laid down by the lane because Bill Nixon played under Arthur Rowe, so the foundations were laid down. And also another thing as well, Lenny, which you probably would agree with me, we recruited from within. We recruited somebody that played under Arthur Rowe. Yeah, he retired, and another manager, Jimmy Anderson, took over, and then Bill Nick took over from Anderson. But Bill Nick worked his way through the club. He knew the club DNA. He knew what the club stood for. He knew what the club's foundations were.
Yeah.
So when he took over that club, he had a nucleus of a good team. And he added to it the likes of a Dave Mackay, the likes of a John White, the likes, he had already Danny Blanchflower there, the likes of Bill Brown, the likes of Bobby Smith and Terry Naylor, not Terry Naylor, Terry Dyson. But the point I always make, when we won the double, guys, what was the first thing we did in that summer? After we won the double, what was the first thing we did?
I know we bought Jimmy Greaves.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's my point. We invested in to make a great side even greater. Now, and this backs off sort of Mia's point, for a game here or a game there, we could have done back-to-back doubles. 60, 61, 61, 62. We could have done the treble.
Yeah, because we finished third.
Yeah, we could have done the treble in 61, in 62. We could have won the European Cup, the FA Cup, and the League Championship.
Yeah, we were cheated in the European Cup.
But that's, I think this actually backs up Mia's point when she's talking about Levy and the time for the finals we've got to, for a kick here or a kick there or a decision here or a decision there. It could have been all very different. We could have won 3 or 4 or 5 major trophies under Enoch and Levy. We could have won a league. We could have been league champions the year Leicester won it. Do you know what I mean? So I understand. I understand the point that everyone's trying to make, but I also understand Mia's point. And sorry, Mia, I know it's a bit long, but I was trying to make a point of, using the 60s, the early 60s team as a point you were making, that maybe, and I'd put this to you as well, Ellie, if we did win on penalties against Man United, if we did beat Liverpool into the Champions League final, if we did win the league when we beat Leicester that year, we got a win against Leicester where we drew, that gave Leicester the title. Do you think we could be looking at a different sort of relationship with Mr. Levy? Who wants to take that first?
I'll take that. I'm just, like I said, Dermot, you have to compete with the monsters. You have to get the players that are going to compete with their players. Because if you look at Man City's team now, they're awesome. They're hard to beat. I know we do well against them, but they win leagues. They did the treble. They've won FA Cups. I mean, they've stormed the league, right? And they've done it because they've invested in their team. We've left ourselves short, and that's why we could have won them, but we've left ourselves short in a lot of areas that we could have strengthened in.
But may I make one point? If they get done for all these things that they've cheated in, they've done it cheating, though, Ellie. If they do get found out, and that's not good either. Like, that's what I like to do it. You have to compete with monsters, and monsters who might actually be breaking the rules, because Chelsea have broken the rules in the past as well. So it's very difficult nowadays. Nowadays, it's so different to back then when it comes to the money side of it as well. We have to spend smart. We don't have to spend a lot. We just have to spend smart. That's where we're going wrong.
Yeah, we have to fill the positions. It was blatantly obvious this season started that we need to strengthen the centre-back position, and we didn't. And now look where we are. We're struggling to qualify for Europa or Conference, you see? So a little bit more investment in the right areas. It's not how much you spend, it's how you spend it.
Yeah. So, Mia, let me ask you this then. We've got totally sidetracked from the breaking news. We went on to break.
Yeah, but it's really meaty.
Yeah, but the point is, Mia, look, where if you say, right, I agree. I actually do agree with you when you say for a kick here or kick here, things can be very different. Just using hindsight here, right, and just like a bit like I always believe in the multiverse where we could be doing one thing here and we can do the opposite somewhere else. So same for example, we won the League Cup. We won 2 FA Cups because we got to 2 semi-finals. We won the League Championship. We won the Premier League. We won the European Cup. If's a small word with a big meaning. Do you think all these protests and everything would be happening? or do you think this still would happen?
I don't know, because I feel like this is how I honestly feel. I feel like some people would give the credit to the managers that won it and not necessarily Levy Enoch. I think they would say it was the managers that won it. So possibly not. And just to say, I never said, Ben, that they are guilty. I said if they get found guilty. I would never accuse anybody of being found guilty until they have done so. I'm not going to get myself into legal trouble. I said if they get found guilty. But yeah, I think that I don't know. I can't say 100% that I believe that it would be different. I think that people still would have their gripes. Maybe if we only won, say, one League Cup, people would say that was not good enough. People probably would be unhappy with that. If it was one FA Cup, people might have just said, "Nah, I want after a few more years. Why haven't we pushed on from that?" So I do think that that's obviously also on the flip side a possibility.
Yeah. Well, listen, we are going to quickly go back to the bit of breaking news with this start with, because a few people.
Yeah.
I take a few comments. Colin says here, look at United have been caught wind of intimate talks between Levy and Kane as they are set to hold talks with Benfica over Ramos. Ooh, keepers in. Let us know what happens there, Colin, from Man United point of view. Right. Let's quickly go back to a little bit more news about the Harry Kane and his new contract. Now, what I've been told, Harry is set to sit down with Danny Levy in the next couple of weeks to discuss a new contract. It's going to be worth somewhere in the region of £300,000 a week if he stays at Spurs. Mia, I'll start with you, and then I go to you, Ellie. Has Kane got to make a decision? Money or trophies?
I think that he will. I don't know if he would stay purely because of the money. I think if he stayed, he'd stay because he loves Tottenham, and that's my honest belief. I don't think that. I think the money will help because, again, like we said earlier, that's financial security for his children and his grandchildren in the future. So I think that he would only stay if he because he loved Tottenham. And if he doesn't stay, yeah, of course he wants to go and get trophies, and that just shows that he's got ambition to get trophies, and he does have to make that decision, I suppose, whether he loves Tottenham or he wants trophies.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ellie?
I just think he can have both, because like if we invest in the team like we should have done in the past, he can have both, but we haven't really invested in the right positions to make us a viable, challenger, apart from under Poch, but then we left him short as well. So I think obviously there's no doubt that he loves Spurs. He's a Spurs man through and through. So I think he likes the records that he's done as well. And he loves that he's broken Jimmy Greaves' record, because that is, it's out of this world what he's done for our club. So, and he can get more money than 300k elsewhere. So if he's going to stay, he's going to stay because he loves our club, not because of the money. Because he's already a very wealthy man, regardless.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said I don't think it's the money that would actually make him stay, if I'm honest. And yeah, he could have both at Tottenham. You're absolutely right. That could definitely be something that's a possibility. But if he wants to win them, I suppose maybe more likely, then he could go elsewhere where they win trophies more regular, if that makes sense. One of the monster teams, like you called them earlier, they'd be more likely to win a trophy, if you know what I'm saying. So but like I think he will stay because he loves the club. I don't think he's staying because basically because of him thinking, the money. I just don't see I don't think Harry Kane is particularly like that either, because he would have asked for more money years ago, Ellie, in my opinion. He could have, he could have easily demanded
much more. The 300k
absolutely.
mark, that 300k mark is what the Man City player, the lower echelon of the Man City player, is getting. Most of them are getting 400,000 or 500. Like the De Bruyne's, the Grealishes, the Fodens. Even he doesn't get paid as much as Harry Kane at the moment, but he will do as he gets older.
Yeah, Wayne Bonner makes a good point here, though. The problem with Kane getting more money is, are they going to get knocks on the door and say, hold on, I want more money because got this increase. Now I want one, like a Sonny maybe. If Sonny starts performing again, that's the other thing,
Yeah,
because that could break the wage structure. And we are strict on that for a reason, because if everybody starts asking for more, then that increases the wage bill by like a lot. When I looked it up, I think we were seventh a year ago in the wages that we pay.
yeah,
So like obviously if we up it with one person, we've got the risk of other people then saying, hold
yeah.
on, I want more money.
I can't see him asking for more money this season. Maybe if we perform better next season, they might be
Yeah,
knocking on Levy's door.
yeah, no, that's
Knocking
true.
on Levy's door. Do you know
Yeah.
what? Footballers, I, I, I think, like Harry Kane is the last of the custodians of loyalty. I think there's not many players like him, and he's getting like people like what's his name, the guy on Sky Sports. He was saying, how does he sleep at night? He sleeps
Oh,
very tightly.
Mika
What's his name?
Richardson.
Micah Richards. He sleeps very well, thank you very much. He's done a lot for football off the pitch as well, which a lot of players don't. I've seen him go to schools, talking to young kids. All these things that he does he's a bastion of football, and
Oh,
he's an ambassador for Spurs as well. So it's
he's
not
the
just
old
what he does on the pitch.
No, he's the ultimate professional, because
Yeah.
he acts in a way of a very professional person. You've never seen him crawling out of pubs, doing anything bad. He's always been
No.
a very much a family man as well. So he's very like, kids can look up to him, and he's a
Yeah.
very good role model. He's a
Yeah.
very, very good role model when it comes to it. An ultimate professional, and
Yeah.
everyone says the same about him. And when he was a kid, when he was younger, he was one of the last lot, I think, that actually did polish boots. Like they
I
sent him
know.
out to polish boots. They don't do that no more, man. They don't do all that kind of stuff. So he was like the last of the old school, I think,
Yeah.
like how they were.
He had these struggles. Like he was firing on all cylinders in our youth team, and then he came to make his break, and then they were loaning him out, and he had to prove himself to get where he is today. And he's worked so hard on his physical side of his game, like building himself up, going to these other clubs and acting like an ultimate professional, and then coming back to Spurs and doing what he does for us. I take my hat off to him. He's fabulous.
Who are we
Yeah,
talking
no,
about?
absolutely.
Harry Kane.
That
Yeah.
yeah. So look, my sorry, my computer's been playing up today. It's been playing up for the last few
Okay.
days, so I do apologize. Look, for me, 300,000 is a lot of money on a 30-year-old. I will admit that. I think he will sign a new contract. I think he will stay at Tottenham, and I think he will be successful at Tottenham. We will win a trophy. That is coming. That is really, really coming.
But
Now, yeah, go on.
do you think, this is just a hypothetical, but do you think that him winning FA Cup at Tottenham would mean more to him than maybe winning a Champions League or a Premier League elsewhere?
Yeah, it would mean more to him than winning a Champions League or a league
Yeah,
title with Man City. It would mean more to him
Yeah.
because he's winning
yeah, I
at the
think
club.
so.
He hit the club that he's been there since a boy. He's Tottenham true and true. And we've got Neil Shafton. It's probably better to have one of these YouTube channels to have different guests, because they are starting to become just extension of the person show discussions. Everyone here has a show. Fair enough. I don't know what he
I
means
think
by that.
I actually think we've quite a varied opinion on here. I think that
Yeah.
Ellie's opinion, Dermot's and mine is actually
Differs.
very, very different and
Yeah.
diverse,
Yeah, we are.
to be honest.
We challenge each other as well.
Mm.
Like if you think somebody's wrong, we're not shy to say it online.
Well,
You know.
look, changes are coming. Changes are coming. Don't worry
Yeah.
about that. That's what that was. They're talking about himself, Carl Simpson. What that is the whole point of a show. I don't know. Anyway, look, we'll probably end it there. That we have sort of went over the breaking news.
Yeah.
Nagelsmann and Alonso are the two left in the running. We have to see what happens there. Myself, I think it's going to be Nagelsmann will be joined at Tottenham by Ralph Rangnick, by Ralph. Hang on, I'll bring that up in a minute.
Damn right.
Yeah, I'll bring it up in a minute, Mia. What was I saying?
About Ralph Ragnick.
Yeah, Ralph would join Julian Nagelsmann at Tottenham. I think that will be it. Harry will sign a new contract at Spurs. As for Daniel Levy, my own opinion, I think the club is being sold. I agree when the comments said the club is being sold. I think it has to stay there for the valuation. I think that is true. But it's going to be an interesting year at Tottenham. But look, let's not give up the fight. Let's all get behind the boys. We've got 3 games left this season. Mia, I'm going to end up with you. Then plug your channel very quickly. Can we get Conference League or Europa League? Where's your stance on that?
I think that we're going to get Conference League still. I'm still saying that. But yeah, I do think that it's more likely, if I'm honest. I'm trying to be realistic, even though I would like to have Europa personally.
Fair enough. And do you think, very quickly, and these questions are going to you as well, Ellie, do you think Villa's make or break for our season?
I don't think it's make or break. I think that it's important for us to win it. If we want to really want an actual proper chance of being in the Europa and not the Conference League. So yeah, I think it's important for us to win it.
Apparently, Kuva wants me to get the sack. Fair enough.
No, the snip. He wants you to get the snip because he's saying that there's too many men.
I think I'm being outnumbered here by the female on this show, to be fair.
Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah, I'm quite
when
happy.
You get me and Mia, you get 4 women because we've got we've got the Greek side.
Carl
and
says
the English side.
Mia and Dermot are boxing ring legends. I think he meant to say a ring loads. Big up Dermot for letting Mia letting Mia win. You're our gentleman.
Listen, he ain't letting me win nothing. I would absolutely have him, David Harris, on toast, mate. On toast.
I just want to say something
toast
about Mia. Can I just say something? Mia is probably one of the nicest people you'll ever wish to meet. She is an absolute diamond, and people need to treat her with respect. She is the jewel in our crown, on our Spurs community crown. So please, everyone, treat her with the respect she deserves, because this lady is a lady. She's a generally lovely person, so treat her with respect, everyone. Mia, do you want to give your channel a bit of a plug there as well?
Yeah, go over Spurs Between the Lines. If you don't know, then give your head a wobble.
Hang on. Where is he? Here we go. There you go. Even my
I have got minerals, thank you, tequila. I've got lots of minerals. I'm near to Starbucks and I'm not in the woods, so don't worry.
I could go this is for a rude show. This is for
this is for minerals. There's a guy called Minerals, and he talks about being in the woods, and then he talks about being far away from Starbucks. I don't even know what that means, but it's just absolutely creases me up when he says it.
Yeah, well, can I just put that? I'm going to save that comment. We're going to use that for the over 18 show, aren't we, Mia?
Sticks.
But listen, David, did you plug your channel? Oh, you did, yeah.
Spurs Between the Lines.
And Mia,
if you don't know,
Mia is also part of this channel as well, and we do try to balance. We had podcast yesterday. We had Colin, a Man United fan, on. For anyone doesn't think we get any other people on, we've got a few more guests. We've got a Leeds United fan coming on. We have a Chelsea fan coming on. We've got an Arsenal fan. At the end of the season, we're going to do a Premier League review of the season. We're going to have different fans on from different teams.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that on as well.
And another thing you do, Dermot, which is very good, you invite everybody in. So if they choose not to come in, that's not your fault at the end of the day.
Well, Thursday, guys, is copy link. I don't know if that. Anyway, I'll sort that out. There's a problem.
Hello.
I'll just mute you there, Ellie. Dermot, could you at least throw address on us? Why is she mute? Why have I lost my camera?
What is going on?
I don't know. My computer's thrown fucking wobblies. Dermot, you could throw. That's why I'm putting you on mute, Ellie. Dermot, you could at least throw an address or something. Man up for a banner. Yeah, I could do. I've got a little black number. You know, put it on Google.
I don't know if I like that thought.
I don't like that thought either. It's
No,
just
neither
made
do
me
I.
feel
But there you
sick.
go. When we
Can
would
we
get
see
the
you in a dress, Coover? Seeing as you're so up for it, I think that Coover should be wearing the dress in the name of equality.
Yeah, nice red one.
Look, I can I just say to Tom, thank you. It's very kind of you, Tom. It's lovely you say that. We try to do good shows every show we do. We try to bring you and when we get news, I like to break it first to you, especially if not of my own. Then it's definitely with me or Ellie or Mr. Godfather himself. But listen,
Yeah.
the late show, David Clark, after 9 p.m. That's past my bedtime. Wink, wink. Okay. Love it, Dermot. Your saucy thing with the poll. You fuck off. Genuinely, something about the poll. Neil, I think guessing or trying to get inside anyone's head is just a waste of time. Remember, these players are only paid during the season. That's why the wages are broken down by weeks. Yeah, I know what you're getting at. Please don't bring in Strawbog Steve. No, we won't. We promise. But listen, we are going to end it there. We are back tomorrow 1 o'clock with Newsbeat. Thursday is Newsbeat fan show where we invite you on to talk about Tottenham and everything else they're doing. But wherever you're doing, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. If I get any more breaking news, we will break it here first. Please, everyone go over to Spurs Precision Lines and hit a subscription button there. Hit a like and subscription button here and pick up your memberships on the way out. It really does help us grow. God bless you all. Thank you. Come on, you Spurs. Go on, Mia. Do you want to end up?
In the fans we trust.
Yeah, that is so for sure. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.